Ahoy there, this is Chief Bones, and it's great to see you all again. So today I figured I'd cover a topic that's pretty divisive in the World of Warships community: anime-inspired collaborations, particularly the current collab with Yoastar's game Azur Lane. Spoiler alert, I'm in favour of it. Wargaming as a whole, and the World of Warships team in particular, have a pretty solid history of collaborations with other media and third-party artists and historical figures. World of Tanks has collaborated with the people behind the anime and manga property Girls und Panzer, among other things, and World of Warships has collaborated with the anime properties Arpeggio of Blue Steel and High School Fleet. They've worked with Yoastar on a crossover event with anime-inspired game Azur Lane. They've worked with community artists on custom in-game art assets, and with anime and manga artists on custom-themed camo patterns and ship skins. They're constantly reaching out and working with historical societies and museums and preservation groups whose purpose it is to restore and preserve our naval heritage around the world, and it helps quite a lot. In addition to the collaborations, World of Warships often has less than historic commanders, models, and skins, which may be used by players. A notable example would be the Halloween and April Fool's series of ship models. A lot of WoW's players do not care for, or even actively loathe these models. I'm not sure why precisely, but the common wisdom is that you either love or hate them. There really isn't much in between. WoW's does have the option to disable the extraneous graphics, but even so, the rage against these collabs is pretty vociferous. All that aside, I don't care. I love it. I am an anime fan, and otaku stretching back to the 80s. I enjoy games like Azur Lane. The collaborations have done a fine job of pointing me to series I've never seen before and broadening my horizons, and if you don't like them, then this video really isn't for you. I, and many others, are somewhat saddened by the fact that Wargaming wasn't able to, or had no interest in, forming a joint venture with Kadokawa for access to Kantai collection characters, but the Azur Lane ship girls are growing on me. Anyhow, the point of this video isn't quite as much about the history of collaborations as it is about this one in particular, what it is, and what it could easily be, and what I wish it could be. In April of 2018, the first part of the collaboration began. Azur Lane created a few characters and a new mode to acquire them, based on ships available in World of Warships, and Wargaming offered a handful of characters from Azur Lane as ship commanders in-game. This year, the continuation of the crossover consisted of the same thing for Azur Lane, only expanding it to the English server, and the addition of further characters added to World of Warships from the Azur Lane catalog. Wargaming also added 2 premium ships based on 2 of those new characters, and will be adding a collection as well. This pretty much mirrors their collab with High School Fleet, but falls far short of their crossover with Arpeggio. We'll be mentioning that crossover again elsewhere. The ship girl commanders, which currently exist over the 2 parts of the Azur Lane crossover, are Enterprise, Aurora, Hood, Nelson, Belfast, Hipper, Cleveland, Otago, Prinz Eugen, Dunkirk, Kaga, Azuma, Neptune, Yukikaze, and Montpelier. These are interesting commanders, but they're limited. Azur Lane has a huge catalog of ship girls to choose from, and many of the ships currently in World of Warships. Here's a list of the ship girls that could easily be brought into WoWs without much effort, representing ships which are already in the game or are shortly to be released, and be warned, this is going to be somewhat of a long list. Akasta, Admiral Graf Spee, Akatsuki, Amagi, Anshan, Aoba, Arizona, Asashio, Atlanta, Benson, Bismarck, Chikuma, Colorado, Edinburgh, Emile Bertin, Exeter, Fiji, Fletcher, Friedrich der Grosse, Fushun, Fubuki, Furutaka, Fuso, Gascon, Georgia, Gneisenau, Graf Zeppelin, Hatsuharu, Ibuki, Indianapolis, Isokaze, Izumo, Jean-Bar, Kagero, Karlsruhe, Kitakaze, Congo, Königsberg, Langley, Leander, Lexington, Massachusetts, Mikasa, Mogami, Monarch, Mutsu, Mutsuki, Miyoko, Nagato, Nicholas, North Carolina, Omaha, Pensacola, Phoenix, Queen Elizabeth, Ranger, Rune, Ryujo, San Luis, St. Louis, Scharnhorst, Seattle, Shiratsuyu, Shokaku, Sims, Tirpitz, Vampire, Warspite, West Virginia, Wichita, Yubari, Udachi, Z1 or Liebrixmas, Z23, and Z46. It would not take much effort to put these video and audio assets in the game and quickly be able to just slap them into their namesake ships, and I wish they would. It's unlikely to happen, but it's something that they could do with only a few hours work if they really, really wanted to. So here is my list of ships which are in Azur lane, but would be pretty nice to see in World of Warships as both shipgirl commanders and playable freemiums. Let's start with the Eagle Union, representing the US Navy. San Diego and Honolulu. Both Sandy and Hano are Atlanta-class CLAs. While it's true that we already have both Atlanta and Flint, only Atlanta has a corresponding shipgirl, and the two characters are quite interesting and have some pretty bold personalities. San Diego in particular. It is her theme music you hear playing in the background right now. Saratoga. Saratoga is basically just a Lexington. There isn't a huge reason to add her really, other than that I have a particular fondness for the unit in Azur lane. Additionally, given the small number of CVs in the game, it could never hurt to have another for variety. Shangri-La. Shangri-La is a special circumstance really. She is a specialized ASW CVL, who wouldn't really be all that powerful against surface vessels, but if and when subs become part of the standard gameplay loop, developing ASW units would be a must. There are some pretty cool subgirls in Azur lane too, but I'm not going to go into them. New Orleans class shipgirls. So this pack of shipgirls are all New Orleans class CAs. There isn't much special to them, Azoria, Quincy, and Vincennes, but I have a spot in my heart for this class of vessels corresponding shipgirls. Less the three uniform shipgirls and more the unique and interesting ones, including Wichita, who we already have as a ship in game, and Minneapolis, who is just a really cool and unique unit. Next up, let's talk Eastern Radiant shipgirls, representing the Chinese Navy. Arethusa. Yes, we know that Arethusa is actually British, but the Arethusa class CL Aurora moved on to become Huanghe. I like the idea of one of these shipgirls becoming an expat and representing a foreign nation. My first ever premium in World of Warships was Anshan, and I have had a particular affinity for Chinese vessels in the game ever since. The abject lack of any serious Pan-Asian cruisers bothers me. Including the Ninghai and Pinghai twins, copied in a manner similar to the Dragon ships, would help to add a little bit of Chinese flair to a game otherwise lacking in significant Chinese representation despite the large number of Chinese players. Yat-sen should be created for the same reason as the Ninghai twins. China number 1. Of course, the Pan-Asian groups of ships is most closely recognized as simply a line of borrowed destroyers, and there isn't a lot more that can change that association until other lines are created in the tech tree. In the meantime, introducing Taiyuan and Changchuan as alternate versions of the classic Anshan freemium would be nice. Moving on to the Sakura Empire, representing Imperial Japan. Japan has one of the most overrepresented catalog of ships in both Azur Lane and World of Warships both. Much of that has to do, at least in WoWs anyhow, with the fact that there are a chunk of copy and pasted ships that are reused under a different pennant number and name. Both of the previous anime property crossovers added to that, as well as the Dragon ships. Regardless, I think we can do some more copies as well as doing some new things. Kaga. First of all, Kaga already exists in WoWs. In fact, both her ship and shipgirl are represented in the game. So why am I mentioning her? Well, I don't want Kaga the carrier. I want her original design. I want the battleship Kaga. We don't have any really interesting pre- and post-design change ships on this scale. The most pre- and post-refit ship I can think of are Gangut / Oktyabrskaya Revoluция. Anyhow, I think it'd be neat to see both versions running around. So, the battlecruiser Kirishima already exists as ARP Kirishima. Battleship Hiei already exists as well as ARP Hiei. So why not strip the neon paint off of them, slap on some new initials in front of the name, and put out the AZL Kirishima and AZL Hiei. Some of us were never able to get those ARP ships. Some of us want to play those ARP ships. While we're at it, copy the Takao class ships and make AZL Takao, AZL Maya, and AZL Chokai too. And all the Asashio class destroyers. Because reasons. Hyuga and Issei. So Hyuga and Issei are a pair of ships which could really be interesting. They're hybrid battleship carriers. It would be neat to give some balanced battleships a couple bomber consumables, which gives them spotting capabilities and limited strike powers. Do it, Ouija. Do it. Next we go to the Royal Navy, which represents the Royal Navy. I'm not sure why, but the only ships I'd really like to see put in for the Royal Navy are carriers. Illustrious, Ark Royal, Victorious, and Unicorn. No real reason, I just like them. Leave me alone. Now then, on to the Ironblood, who represent the Kriegsmarine. So yes, we already have two versions of Graf Spee. I don't care, let's make a third. I want to see Deutschland, the lead ship of the class of Panzerschiffs. Fight me. I'd also like to see Leipzig. No particular reason really, but a new German cruiser might be fun to play with. Now we segue into the Vichy Dominion, which represents Vichy France, from whom we get most of the current representation of French ship girls. The only one I'd really like to see is Le Mars. She is a ship girl of the La Droite class. French destroyers are on the horizon, so tossing out another premium that plays a little differently might be fun. While we're at it, Yostar needs to make a La Terrible captain. Finally, let's touch on Iris Libre, representing the Free French forces. We'll start with Le Triomphant, a L'Enfantasque class destroyer. Le Fantasque is already making her way into the game as the Tier 8 Tech Tree French destroyer. It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to change her up a little bit and give her the premium treatment. Le Téméraire is a Le Hardy class destroyer. I don't know much about the ship class, but I like the ship girl, so let's add her too. And when we get subs, I'm going to riot if we don't see Surcouf. I'd also like to point out Emile Bertin again. She's already in-game, and one of my favorite cruisers in the French line, but her ship girl representation just looks so bloody cool. I want more. So looking back at this list, you'll see that a lot of these choices are really just carbon copies of pre-existing ships, both premium and researchable, and that adding them would not make a whole lot of sense. And the truth is, you'd be right. It's weird adding copy after copy after copy, but I disagree that it's pointless. I firmly believe that adding more content, particularly free or very cheap content, can only help the game by invigorating the player base, and with the absolutely huge catalog of ships and ship girls, this crossover event could last a very long time. Your dev team is busy dealing with a huge new patch that will take months to finish? A new tech tree or game mode? Not going to have any significant content out for a while, for whatever reason? Release a handful of these freemium copy ships for the players to work toward. Are they boring? Maybe. Are they saccharine sweet? Maybe. But to an otaku such as myself with a Pokemon-led collection addiction, I can think of nothing that would grab my attention more than something like this.